Hello. I'm Dr. Guy. Basically, I've got this problem. See, I've got this YouTube channel, and I'm trying to show these people with their near-death experiences, and I think some of the strongest support of this phenomena is the individuals themselves. As a psychiatrist, I've interviewed a lot of them, over 100 of them actually, and I'm pretty impressed with their stories. But every time, only a small fraction of the stories I record actually make it on my YouTube channel. YouTube kind of yanks them a lot, and so I'm going to try some creative ways of getting the content onto my YouTube channel without totally violating the copyright thing. So what I'm doing is I'm adding extra footage to the clips, and by adding my own footage, I'm hoping that they'll let me keep the content on the programs that I put on my YouTube channel. So anyway, I brought my flat screen TV out here in my backyard so that I can show you my YouTube stuff. Okay, so these are basically clips from I Survived Beyond the Back, and hopefully with the extra material here, they'll allow me to keep it on the channel. So here goes.
I had been married to my husband for 13 years. We had been childhood sweethearts together. We had been a really, really perfect, cute couple. I loved my family, I loved my husband, I loved my daughter. I gave birth to our son, Matthew. And then after I had Matthew, he was about 3 months old, I started drinking, and I was also using cocaine. I know I suffered from postpartum depression. That was the beginning of the downward spiral for me. We tried everything we could to save each other's marriage. When I began drinking every day and doing cocaine, then he didn't quite know how to deal with it, and he tried to get me help. And I refused to get help because I was in quite a bit of denial. I was very immature and in denial, and I blamed God for my drinking and for losing my husband and my children.
They had been separated for a good while, and I had this feeling on my heart that things were not going good, and I would actually drop by a lot to check on her. She was, sad, and that showed through.
I met this guy, and we started off being friends. We just hung out a lot. We decided that we were going to have a party at my house, and I began drinking, and I may have done 1 or 2 lines. I just felt like I was just smashed, and I laid down on my bed. I was at the point of passing out from drinking, and he kept saying, "You've got to try this." I'm like, "Well, what is it?" And he said, "It's heroin." He sat down on the bed next to me, and he put a tourniquet on my arm, and he injected my arm with a lethal dose of raw pure heroin. I do believe that I died immediately, right then. I was beginning to float out of my body. I was just kind of floating up. And I can remember the sensation of floating up about midway in the air. And I was thinking to myself, I had just been drunk a few minutes ago, and now why am I sober? I didn't realize that I had died. And I'm looking down, and I see paramedics undressing me. And I began yelling at them and telling them, somebody please put my clothes on. Nobody was listening to me. And I couldn't understand why they couldn't hear me. They weren't responding. And that's when I felt a touch, a hand. That was an angel. He was reassuring me, don't worry about what they're doing. Just come with me. And I said, but I'm unclothed and they won't dress me. He said, don't worry about that. Just come with me.
It was just this frightening, panicky voice. And he's saying, Jennifer, Debbie she's dead. And I said, what? What are you saying? She died. You need to meet me at the hospital. And he hung up. My little girl, I just couldn't lose her. I couldn't bear the thought of it.
The next thing that I know is just like, it was just like walking through a door, and over to my right-hand side were pine trees and just beautiful field of grass and flowers. And then it was instantaneous peace and instantaneous joy, and I was surrounded with angels, and they had on white gowns at that point and white wings. The wings, I don't know, they're not like feathers where you would see the feathers coming out. They're very tamed down and very proportioned. They're just absolutely beautiful. It was then that I realized that I had died and I was in heaven. I laid down in the field. I had angels come up to me and surround me from head to toe. They were singing to me. Their voices were just absolutely beautiful. I could hear hundreds of thousands of angels in the background as well. The sound is unlike anything that we've ever heard here on Earth. It's a divine language and a divine sound.
I'll never forget walking through those doors. She was actually dead when they were working on her. All I could think about was just her heart. Please start her heart.
The more you listen to the music, the more your soul begins to feel restored and healed. A couple of them stopped singing and said that you need to go back. This is not your time. We're urging you to go back. I did not want to come back. I actually viewed Earth as hell when I was in heaven. I did not want to come back to the pain. They kept urging me, you really have to go back. I told them, no, I'm not going back. And I can remember overhearing them say, we're going to have to call him.
She was gone. They had to keep working on her and working on her. She had children, and they needed her. We all needed her.
They were speaking amongst themselves, saying, we're going to have to call him. And I'm thinking, him? And all of a sudden, on my right-hand side, just kind of appearing, was Jesus. It's not that I saw exactly what he looked like. It was just a sense in my soul that I know that it's Jesus. There was bright light coming from him, and he began walking towards me. And he said, you have more work to do. You have to go back. I told him, no, I'm not going back there. I don't want to go back there. And I stood there and I argued with him. All of a sudden, on my right-hand side was Jesus. I told him, no, I'm not going back there. I don't want to go back there. And I stood there and I argued with him. I did argue with Jesus. I did. I told him no, that I was not coming back. And he said, yes, you have to go back. You have a lot to do, you have to go back. And I stood up and I looked at him. He just sent me back into my body, it just went black.
Just to know that her heart was beating again was the most glorious and peaceful feeling. I believe it was 18 minutes that she was actually dead. The nurse behind my back, close to me, says, "You did know that your daughter was pregnant, didn't you?" And I said, "No, I didn't." The doctor said that there could be so much damage to this baby. And the other part of it was that there could be damage to Debbie, of course. There would be brain damage.
Immediately, I remembered being in heaven, and it was as though I had been completely healed of everything. And I had no desire to drink or to smoke or to do drugs or anything.
The fact that she was waking up, that was just the happiest moment. But she looked completely confused. Her dad just looked over at her and he looked at me and he said, "Honey, she can't hear us."
The doctors explained to me that there was not enough blood circulation in my head to keep my ears alive. Even being deaf did not bother me at all. I was so happy and I was so elated from being in heaven. It didn't bother me at all. My mom wrote down on a piece of paper and said, "Debbie, you're pregnant." And I was absolutely shocked. I had no idea that I was pregnant at all. She is an absolute miracle baby. Today, she is beautiful, she is bright, she is intelligent.
The fact that the mother was dead for so long just did not have any effect on that baby. And Christina has a sister, Madison, and to see them together as a family, it's just so much fun.
Family comes first to me today, and my children come first to me both, and our happiness at home. I have not had anything to drink or to use in 8.5 years now. Been completely clean and sober. It was like I was able to bring back with me the spiritual feeling of the peace of heaven.